Hello, everybody. Well, what can I say? It's been nearly a year since I did the last one of these, but we are back. 3.26. It's been a lot of fun. There's been a lot of interesting developments, and I am back here today to show you a little fun, cheap profit-making strategy that I am doing because I am a poor who doesn't like to do meta things. So, to that end, we will go ahead and start this video off by showing you what my character is to give you an idea of what you will need to do this. I am not very high level, my name speaks for itself, but I'm an elementalist. Little strange, but it works. So yes, I am a Death Aura elementalist. If you want to see my tree, I'll just quickly show you. I have a few different jewels, mostly Primordial Eminence. I have a cluster jewel that gives me explode and some other useless stuff. And I have some block nodes that give endurance charges and flat life on block. I am of course not high enough level yet. I am still missing 2 points, which I will get eventually, but that's a future me problem. Death Aura, golems in this Cane of Kulamak. The reason for the Cane of Kulamak is it gives me the 35% chance to explode enemies. This is not dependent on them being cursed, like the Occultist mod. Because of this, I can be an Elementalist to get the Liege of the Primordial, the Shaper of Storms, causing any explosions I do get to always shock my enemies. I believe this also works for when my minions hit, but don't quote me on that. And the Shaper of Flames, which is very important for dealing with rares and uniques, which you'll see in a bit. I also have the Shaper of Winter, which is useful, but perfectly honest, if the explosion goes off and they don't instantly die to the Shaper or to that, the Shaper of Flame usually kills them before this becomes relevant. I might wind up replacing this with either the Bringer of Ruin or, to be perfectly honest, Bastion of the Elements. It's just good. But later on, when we do get the Forbidden Flame jewels to get the Occultist explode, we will be replacing the Cane of Kulamak. We will most likely replace it with the Fulcrum, and then we'll use the new jewel with the unaffected by Ignite with using 2 Warlord items, which we don't have at the moment. And then we will slap on a um, Winter Weave in place of the Black Flame or the Death Rush. I haven't decided which one yet. Probably the Death Rush, but again, don't quote me on that. Doing that will give me the wonderful reverse chill effect for the perfect zoom zooms, and will turn me into a walking inferno for mapping, which is, frankly, way better than this. Now, why Death Oath? Well, they buffed it this league. They buffed it last league. It was good before they buffed everything. Let's do this. There we go. It was good before that. Now they've buffed it twice. This gives you a chaos damage over time aura with a very large AoE. In fact, while you cannot see the AoE on screen, it is about here is the edge of it. It would be more if I had more AoE sources, but I don't. You can get it screen wide, but the important thing is that it covers at least half of the screen, making it very good for specific map tile sets. Things like Mesa, things like Promenade, Tower, of course Toxic Sewer, which everybody knows from RF, things of that nature. Now, that basically covers the build, more or less. If you want to follow along, feel free to look up my character on PoE Ninja. You can see what insanity I'm getting up to. Now, what is the strategy? Well, it's Alva. Specifically, we are using Magic Pack Size Lineage Scarabs, which are, at the time of recording, dirt cheap. And this is after people have posted some videos using these. The Incursion Scarab of the Champions, which gives even more pack size, 30%, very nice, as well as 35% chance each for all monsters in the Incursion to be magic or better. That is important. It's magic or better. This will increase the number of rares you get just by RNG. And then finally, the Incursion Scarab of Timelines. Now, this scarab is a relatively cheap scarab. At time of recording, they are 8 chaos each, but you only need one of them, so it's not that big of an investment. These scarabs are also super cheap. We'll go ahead and pull it up in Faustus so you can see what we are looking for here. Alright. So it looks like they're about 2 to 3C each, depending. I have been buying them at 1C with buy orders, but you can get them for 1 to 2C and not care. And then we have champions. They're 3C each. You need 2 of them. So right there, that's an investment of 10C. And then as mentioned, you also want the Timelines Scarab, which is about 8. I guess at the moment they're going for 14. This morning they were 8C, so either someone released a video or just fluctuation. Yeah, so it looks like there's one person who's got it at 12, and then everybody else is still down low. So I would put a buy order up at these things at 8C and just wait. That's probably your best bet. So all told though, you are looking at between 10 and 20C investment in scarabs. Not much. Next up, you have the Atlas tree itself. There is a lot of variations you can do with this. This is just my personal take on it. I have, of course, all of the incursion nodes, including the new treasure hunt node. I don't care about this node. The only reason we have it is because I want the 100% chance to contain Alva, as well as the increased incursion scarab drop rate. If you can self-sustain some scarabs, that's always nice. I do not have anything else as far as scarabs, except for the increased rarity. And this is again just so that you can sometimes get the rarer 8 Chaos Scarab and sustain. Down here we have the contested development and resource allocation. This is very important that you take both of these. Some people like to skip the one and only go with the killing resident architects. The problem with doing this is, or not resident, but this one. The problem with taking only this one is sometimes you need to change your room. And when you go to change your room, if you don't have the resource or the contested development node, you don't transfer the 1 or 2 levels. But if you do, and let's say you have a room that is a level 2 room, and then you can change it to the corruption room, well, that room becomes a level 3 corruption chamber when you do that. It's very, very strong. Please don't be bad. Make sure you take both of these nodes. Up here, time dilation. It doubles the amount of time we get for killing monsters. Now, monsters, if they are normal, give you a certain amount, a flat amount. It's not very much. If they're magic, you get more. If they're rare, you get more still. And then, of course, uniques give you the most. By taking time dilation plus those 2 scarabs, we have a 103% chance that all monsters in the incursions will be at least magic. This means that everything will be at least magic. Combined with that, we have Artifacts of the Vaal. That way we always have 4 incursions. This is also super important. It means that we will get a itemized temple every 3 maps instead of 4. This is kind of nice. Now, there is some argument as to whether or not having 3 instead of 4 means you can make better use of the scarabs. I've done the math over the course of a couple hundred of these. I don't think it is. You want this. The Flesh Merchant, not really worth it. If you have a build that can just delete him, or the later version of this build, it's fine. You take it, you do stuff, boom, boom, congratulations. I have it because I'm lazy and I haven't bothered to remove it. And again, you need the 8% chance to contain Alva. Technically speaking, I guess you kind of don't need this 1 point. You should still be close to 100% even without it. With the 16 here, the 24 here, and then the additional 20, 30, 40 here. And I think there's some more right here. Yep, 24 here. So that's like 90 something, 92, 95, whatever. Basically guarantees you're going to always have Alva. I suppose you won't every now and then hit that RNG, but if I'm not mistaken, Alva has a base chance of like 5% to spawn. Maybe it's 8%. Somebody in the comments, feel free to correct me. I don't remember exactly. It's been too many years. But if it is 5 or 8%, you can safely drop this one node and the Vaal Oligarch and be good to go. I do not have all of my Atlas points, of course, as you can see, because I am a bad, but I also don't care. Block a bunch of content you don't want to see in your maps. This is actually kind of important. On some tile sets, if other content spawns and too much of it spawns, it will start to block things. this can result in you straight up not getting content that you want in your map because it's blocked by other content based on a hidden ordering that GGG has. In addition, we are of course taking shrines. Shrines are very good. They buff you and your mercenary. Sorry about that. I was getting a message. We're under some severe weather advisements at the moment. So these will buff all of your mercenaries. They also, of course, give you a pack of magic monsters, which is nice around each of your shrines. With this setup, you're guaranteed to have 2 shrines in your map. We will then be taking an additional 3 shrines by taking the domination on Tree, or on the Atlas. Now, if you are a strong build, mine is not, but if you are a strong build, you will take the Eater of Worlds. Now, some people like the Searing Exarch, and I get it. Searing Exarch is nice, but the Eldritch Gaze giving you 50% increased effect of your upsides is super important for this strategy. This strategy is to farm temples for money, experience, and most importantly, gold. Now, some of you may have seen Empyrean released a video. I think it was, well, at the time of recording, I believe it was yesterday, but it might have been later when you're seeing it, that shows him doing a somewhat similar strategy to this. His strategy's okay. Feel free to follow it if you want. For the rest of us who are not going to be in high tier maps, or are switching characters or whatever, this is unimportant. You can do without all of this. I have it because, again, it is nice to just get free Ickers and to have the occasional fight with the Eater of Worlds to sell. But you don't need this. You can save a lot of points by dropping it. If you do drop this, what do I recommend instead? Well, Alva and Shrines do not use up a lot of points. They're very easy to get all of. So, you can, if you want, take all of these Scarab nodes. What's good about taking these Scarab nodes is, of course, it'll dramatically increase the number of Scarabs you get. You're already pathed right next to almost all of them, as you can see. So it's very easy to just drop this, take this, and get more Scarabs in your map. However, it is worth noting, the rare shrines, or the rare monsters in your map have increased drop rate, isn't very good for Alva, because you're not spawning that many rares in the Alva incursions. It's okay for the regular map, but not very good for what we're doing. So, it's good, but not that good. Another option that you can do is try and scale in Delirium. Again, this is one of those things where Delirium adds a ton of currency and damage to the monsters you're dealing with, as well as reducing your own. But we take care of that with our strategy. So, with that all being said, I also, as you may have seen, am taking every single source of increased explicit modifier. Now, funny thing, originally this setup was so that I could do this on tier 16.5 maps, go through and blast. I very quickly realized with how my build is currently set up, this is less than, golly, 5 div, 10 div max for the whole build. And that's because I kind of went a little over the top with some of the things that I got. With this setup, I can't really reliably do this in T16.5s. Additionally, the monster modifiers we want are not exactly common. Now, we're going to go ahead and get rid of all of our gold and go over the maps. Now, the maps themselves, which I have in here, that we are doing is specifically, we're taking yellow tier maps. The tier of the map does not matter for your Alva temples, for the temples themselves. The only thing it really matters for is the level and thus the quantity and rarity and things like that of the monsters you're dealing with and how hard they are to kill. Now, because as I mentioned, my build is not very good. I am choosing to do this in tier 10 maps instead. We are rolling specifically for the of Bloodlines suffix. The of Bloodlines suffix gives you an increased number of magic tier monsters in your map. This is huge because, again, the incursions are all magic or rare, but usually magic. We are only doing this on 10 maps for this video so as to save people a bunch of headache. I am rolling these maps in front of you. I know it's annoying, but if you want, we'll just go ahead and stop with these 5. I'll roll the remaining 5 later, and then I will just post everything at the end of this with a short little cut. In fact, I think we'll do that just to save time. So, as you can see here, every one of these has increased magic monsters. Some of it has some other junk we don't care about, but the important thing is that it is the magic monsters. I chose Mesa for this on purpose. It is a map that is very quick to run, very linear. You can do it on toxic sewers, you can do it on any map you want. It really doesn't matter. Just keep in mind, the Eater of Worlds requires a level 14 or higher map. So if you have the Eater of Worlds on your Atlas like I do, you have to be in tier 14 plus. I don't have any tier 14 plus mesas. In fact, I have very few tier 14 plus maps with good layouts at the moment. I used them all prior to recording this video and forgot to stock up before hitting record. My bad. So, as mentioned, low tier map, or relatively low tier. You can do this in tier 1 maps, but you will not get as much gold. And of course, these scarabs. Pretty simple, pretty cheap. 3C here, 20C-ish in scarabs. These maps don't cost a thing. You'll spend probably, if I had to guess, to roll 20 maps and get bloodlines on them, you would probably be looking at around 2 to 4 chaos per map, and that's it. And that's if you're really unlucky. Yes, I do have an empty flask slot. Yes, it's on purpose. Alright, so with that, Alvas, and here we go. Also, this build is super lazy for people who are like me and don't particularly want to deal with lots of button presses. Or, you know, you can just instantly die like I did. Did I forget to turn on one of my auras? I did. I am a big dumb. Alright, cool. Everything else is on. So, like I said, as you can see, build not very strong. So I'm getting one shot by some random junk. Full of gems. Okay, cool. We'll go ahead and just do this one since it's right here. I like to save my corruption shrines until I am either doing the final shrine of or final temple incursion of the map, or if I am doing with the Locus of Corruption. They do chaos damage, but more importantly, it's one that I want to make sure I do not fail on, because I really want the upgrades for the Locus of Corruption. At time of recording, Locus of Corruptions are going for like 1.3 Divine or something close to that, so they're really, really good. There's those cursed treasures I'd mentioned. I have no idea if they're worth anything or not. It's 1 point for a little bit of money, so why not? And as we can see, here's some gold, some random junk, and we keep going. Upgrades room, okay. Now, I will say, one thing that's important is you need to kill a pack almost immediately at the start, because you only get 10 seconds when you first enter the room. If you don't kill a pack quickly, then the timer will run out and you will fail. So for my build, I always find a pack, run into them, get them killed, and then I will go find the boss that I'm hoping to kill. Bonus points if there's a pack on the boss, because as you can see with my build and a lot of builds these days, I have explodes. The enemy explodes, does a quarter of its life as chaos damage, which it will ignite, doing a further 22% of their life as a burn over 2 seconds, because I do have the Black Flame Ring. I am not going to kill the All Flesh Architect. And then the burn from the ignite along with the explode will usually kill. And this is giving me ignite prolif, but so is my gloves because I got tired of it. Alright, so occasionally we will find stuff like this, just a little bit of free extra money. I will not count any of the rogue markers I get in the map or in the maps in my final profit really, because they don't matter. Additionally, I am not going to count anything I get from these guys. I'm probably not even going to do these guys. I could, but it's just not worth it. So, not in these low tier maps. It's worth it to look. Sometimes you can find something like a div or whatever, but generally speaking, I'm not going to. So once again, we find the boss. We kill the boss instantly because of the explode. And then we just run around killing stuff, letting it all die to our damage over time and ignites. The really cool thing about Death's Oath this league, with the Cane of Kulamak buffs, the explodes that you get will propagate off screen. If it is a sufficiently dense map, things like Toxic Sewers, Strand is a good one. When the enemy explodes, if you have a high enough roll on your Cane of Kulamak, then the next mob will explode, and the next, and the next, and you'll just keep this chain propagating up as long as there's monsters, even though it is now off screen up to the animation cap, which I believe is 2 screens away. After that, all effects stop. So, something worth keeping in mind for people, especially newer people. You can, in fact, blow up the entire map, really, on small maps like this, as long as you have it dense enough. Which, again, is where things like Delirium can really help. It adds a lot of monsters to the map. So, yeah. Alright. We have one more floating around here somewhere, which we'll go ahead and find. There it is. Tempest. As mentioned, the only things really worth dealing with is the Corruption Chamber, getting this to tier 3, and the Gems, which becomes Doriani's Institute. This one is around 100 and some change chaos at time of recording, and this is 1.3 divines. The only other one I particularly recommend people pay attention to is if they have the ability to upgrade the Sanctum of Unity, get this to the Temple Nexus so that all surrounding rooms go up by 1 tier, and the Sanctum of Vitality. This one is kind of sneaky. If you don't get these ones, this one can drop the Mask of the Stitch Demon or whatever it is that people like. And when they then corrupt it with the temple upgrade into the upgraded version, that's worth a lot of money. It's used on pretty much any animated guardian that, has defenses built in. See, as you can see there, he died off screen. I didn't even go near him. I got an explosion chain, and the explosion chain just did the work. So yeah, I'll go ahead and run the rest of these maps. And I will talk a little bit while doing it, because nothing worse than dead air, If you have questions or comments, feel free to put them down below. If you like what you're seeing, you can always like. If you don't like what you're seeing or you have suggestions, I am all ears. Alright, and that's it for this map. Collect the gold. And there it is. And if you'll look here, we have a Shrine of Empower, or a Doriani's Institute tier 3. The Corruption went up to tier 2. It did not go to tier 3, unfortunately. But that is 100 chaos, right there, for an 8 Scarab. I'm not going to pick up any of these maps. I just really don't care. I am going to run around here real quick, make sure I didn't miss anything nice. I missed a shrine, but that doesn't matter. And I don't do the boss because why would I? If your build has way more damage than mine does, which I would imagine most people's builds do, you'll do this a lot faster than I do. And of course, if you're not sitting here rambling, you can do it a lot faster. Alright, what do we got here? +1. Okay, cool. Come on. There's an explode. I just need one of these guys to explode near this guy and he goes away. There he goes. He's gone. Alright. As I have mentioned before, AoE is really good for this build. It not only increases the death aura AoE, but also makes it so your explosions hit further. And so you can propagate them easier between packs like that. Like I killed these guys all the way over here. I do not know how or if it affects the ignite proliferation specifically. If it does, great, but I wouldn't count on it. Oh, I suppose I should also have shown you how much gold I got. Again, these are low tier maps, so getting 10,000 gold or 9,000 and whatever gold from a map, not a great amount, but it's better than nothing. And it's, again, easily achievable by a low level 90 character with, frankly, pretty inferior gear. This is a mostly self-crafted Death Oath build with next to nothing, honestly. Oh, cool. I got an explosion that killed him. There's another one. Pop. So one thing to mention is what to do if you fail. Honestly, it doesn't matter. If you go into one of these and you fail a room and you die, it's not a big deal. The important thing to make sure is that you don't fail the fourth and final room if you can help it. But I have found out recently, even if you do fail the fourth and final one and don't kill that boss, it still will drop the itemized temple for you as if you did, which is pretty nice. So it's entirely possible to just run temples until you get a corruption chamber, and then just blitz, intentionally failing the incursions in order to try and get more temples per hour. Oop, like that, like screwing up like that. I touched this, the treasure thing, it made my time go to 0 because I hadn't killed anything yet, and that was the end of it. Not a big deal, but something to keep in mind. That's minus 1,000 gold or whatever. I haven't hit any speed shrines yet, which is kind of unfortunate. Darn, I was hoping I could kill him before. I need to remember to remove the 4C from the loot. I don't stop to kill rares. If they don't die to the explosion, then they're not dying. And that is because I do not have any single target DPS at the moment. And I won't until I acquire a Forbidden Shaco. Oh, hey, there we go. Get a speed shrine at the very end of the map. Nice. What do we got? Strong boxes and sacrifice. I do take the sacrifice one. It technically isn't worth a lot, but it is worth enough to make it worth your time to take. Especially if you get the upgrades like this, that then turns it into a... Oh, you know what? I should have taken the Storm of Corruption there. That's okay. If it turns it into the tier 3, because some people will buy these temples from you to then do upgrade services and things like that, making their stitched demons or whatever. Alright, we'll just get our money here, got our chronicle, and there you can see 4,000 gold from this map. Not a lot, not a little, it's just in the background. Let's check, let's see, so this temple, we got a Doriani, so we have 100C there. This one has a Doriani, so that's another 100C. Our corruption chamber went down a tier to tier 1, which is unfortunate, but what can you do? These lesser bubblegum currencies I am not paying any attention to. They don't count as far as I'm concerned. Only the bigger stuff like, well, I guess the 2C would have mattered. And then once you're done, oh, I guess my corruption chamber didn't go down. It was already tier 1. So, I got a Storm of Corruption. Whoop-de-doo. This is not really worth anything. This isn't worth anything. And I got a Doriani's. So, we'll take it. We have 3 Doriani's, which we will sell for 100C each. Make sure we have that. Yep. As mentioned before, having the buff on your map by being a tier 14 so that you can get the Eater of Worlds is really good. Ooh, yes, got a speed shrine. Actually, let's see real quick. Did we already have a corruption chamber? So that means that we have a chance of just by default getting a tier 3 from the scarab. There we go. He exploded. Come on. They exploded. One of these is going to explode. Boom. If you're wondering how I can easily keep up with what's going on here and just see it, I don't. I play by my mini-map. I don't actually look at what's going on screen really unless I get stuck. Entrance, we don't care about. Actually, you know what? We do care about that. What do we got here? Corruption chamber. That's what we want. Okay, cool. Alright, and away we go. I do have the Blood Rage. Not that I've been very good at keeping it up. This gives you frenzy charges. Frenzy charges are just generically nice. Otherwise, everything you see on my build is completely passive. Full duration on phase run so that it lasts just as long. Excuse me, lasts just as long as its cooldown. Otherwise, that's it. Come on, thank you. Come on, you guys. Come on top of here so you can explode. There we go. And this is where the Fulcrum would come in really handy if I had the upgrade. If I was Ignite immune and had a Fulcrum, any of these mobs who explode is going to hit the rest of the mobs. And even though they will also die to that explosion immediately, they are still ignited as far as the game is concerned. And that Ignite will then get reflected to me immediately. Allowing me to then, for the next couple seconds, depending on how long my Ignite duration is, run around with a huge burn that will help kill everything. Same way that Chieftain works, basically. Now, some of you might be wondering why we aren't doing this with Chieftain, and the answer is because Chieftain is boring. No, actually, you may have noted from my previous videos, Chieftain Explode is one of my favorite builds to play. The reason I'm doing this is because Elementalist and Occultist, and specifically this item, are my favorite, and they just buffed the crap out of both Elementalist and this item. So, this league, it is getting, you know what? What's Gamba? We're going to go ahead and pick those up. Yoink. Good fractured items are always fun. Alright, we've got 2 more incursions. Heals monsters. And then we will connect it to the Corruption Chamber or the Apex of Axolotl. Somebody explode. Thank you. Royal Meeting Room. Oh, I think that's at Ziri. If I remember right. Guess we're going to the Apex first. Come on. Reanimator. Interesting. She should die real easily because she summons things to explode from me. Thank you. Sanctum and then Royal Meeting Room. Perfect. Workshop. Some of you will notice that I have very infrequent and unreliable pops. That is because this cane of Kulamok I'm using was literally just a random trash one ID'd off the ground. So, or unveiled off the ground, I should say. So it is a far cry from what it could be. Royal meeting room. No, we want the corruption one. Where's the corruption? Huh. Well. Yeah, sure, why not? It's the only one we got, right? Yep.
Hey, over here, check this out.
And look at that, Locus of Corruption tier 3 for free. So that was a super cheap scarab, and we gained literally a 1.3 divine room. Now we can't unfortunately use the rest of those rooms, which is sad, but oh well. That's how it be. We're gonna go ahead and run these last. Oh wait, what am I doing? We'll run these last two and call it good. And just for the sake of argument, it's garbage. Okay. Now the reason why I'm doing all of this on stream, or rather on recording, is a lot of people who shall not be named like to make videos talking about new player friendly or league starter friendly content builds and things like that, and they are not, we'll just say. So I am doing this so you can see that there is no trickery, no nothing. What do we got here? Full of maps. No, we'll take the Tempest. Wait, it survived the explode? Okay. I was about to say, he survived the explode? First time ever for that. Trap Workshop. Get the gold, and away we go. Alright. We do need to connect these, which is unfortunate. Strong boxes, chest full of items, sure. There we go. He's gone, that's gone. I wish I had a way to have even more map density than I do, just so I could pop the entirety of a incursion at once, but beggars can't be choosers, right? This is low investment, low risk. Okay. Perfect. And then we can connect it to the corruption chamber, which we need. Don't click on the treasure. Oh, never mind. As you can see there, that he got possessed, but it still instantly killed him. Because they're exploding. At the moment, if I remember correctly, my build causes a magic mob to explode for something like 500% of its maximum life. And HP, of course, scales based on the rarity of the monster. Well, a magic monster who explodes is going to kill every other magic monster that's within the explosion radius. If there's a rare monster, it could survive, but the odds are not in its favor. And then unique monsters, unless they've got just really good mods, they're not surviving. Yeah, we'll take that, sure, why not? More gold.
Money.
Oh, huh, interesting. So these are all connected, but we still don't have this connected at all. Interesting. Come on. I don't know why, but explosions are just so satisfying in this game. Okay, that should be it.
Hey, over here. Check this out.
Something I did not mention, and I probably should mention, is if your build is strong enough to do these in tier 16 or 16.5 maps. I don't know if the mod for more magic monsters exists for tier 16.5s, but it does for 16s. But if you're able to do it in like 8 mod corrupted tier 16 maps, or slap 1 or 2 deli orbs on it, that kind of a thing, what you will find is it is a ridiculously good source of experience. Before starting this in the first, before starting this in the first place, I wound up being level 90. Let's see. Oh, we didn't get it. Unlucky. I was level 90 and love it. And just since starting to mess with this, through tier 16s only, I am level 92, 30%, right? And then these tier 10s, which don't give very much XP at all. So this is the last map that we will do, at least in the video. I will pause the video here until until I am done with all 20 maps. This is really just because I value your guys' time and don't want you to sit here for the next hour. Ooh, gems, perfect. And we need to link that to the Shrine of Empowerment because we want the +1. Come on. There, he's dead. Oink. Okay. Alright, Shrine of Empowerment. There it is. Alright, now by having this be upgraded, this is tier 2. If we upgrade this to tier 3, this will become a tier 3. If we upgrade this to tier 3, it'll also be a tier 3. So either way, it's tier 3. Oh hey, another speed shrine. Yep, breach containment, sure. Alright, he's dead. Just think how fast I would be if I still had on the Gull or Blunderbore, which I can't use Blunderbore with Death Aura, but just imagine. This one, see, normally I would do this, but I'm actually going to do this to make sure that this can't upgrade this room. Perfect. Something I did not mention earlier, which I will go ahead and just go over. This build is a block-based build. I am not quite block capped at the moment. Again, early stages of the build.
Undisputed best axe in the game.
Neat. I am not quite block capped at the moment. However, I am pretty close. I believe I am, yeah, 63 attack, 68 spell. When I get those next 2 levels, which I'm working on, I will be able to pick up an additional 14% attack block, so I will be attack block capped. And in turn, that will actually give me 3% spell block, and I'll be at 71 spell block. That is your best survivability, is just if it's blocked hit, it doesn't damage you to begin with. We don't care about that. Alright, let's see. Sealed and currency. Unfortunate that this did not get upgraded. We didn't get the chance to upgrade it, but it is what it is. Alright, cool. Party here. So yeah, as mentioned, I am a block-based build. This means that most things that can hit me won't hurt me. I additionally do have this cluster jewel here that grants me 50 flat life whenever I block. The rest of it is of course wasted. This one gives me an endurance charge when I block. This one gives me a life regen and some block, and this one gives me an endurance charge on block. So I am very constantly up high on... well, unlucky, but that's okay. Constantly up high on the endurance charges to reduce how much physical damage I take and elemental damage and all that jazz. And then, of course, resisting or healing from my block. I also have on my tree somewhere, I think it's down here, I path all the way down here for now, just to get this 20 flat life. That is 70 flat life and 30 mana when I block. The mana is irrelevant for the most part, but 70 flat life is something like 3% or 4% or something like that on block effectively. It's like having the Shaper Shield. It's not quite. I can do better, but it's like. I also have the gain flat energy shield on block, which again does matter sometimes. It's just another bit of defense you can have. Did this one get the life one at tier 3? It did. The Sanctum of Immortality. Okay. And this also has Sanctum of Immortality, but this one, yeah, okay. That one had nothing. Doesn't have Doriani's? No. Just those two. Okay. I am going to price check those real quick because I do not remember what they are off the top of my head. So let's see. Sanctum of Immortality. Apparently they're only like 5 to 10 C, but I was selling them at 25 C just this morning, so who knows why they're that low. And then this, of course, is over a divine. Again, I don't count it. I'm not going to count it. Just going to list it for 1.2 divines and call it a day. Maybe I'll wind up using it. Who knows? Alright, so from those 5 maps that we did, we only failed one Alva mission, and we accidentally a second one. We gained 40,000 gold. It took me... Oh, let's see. How long has my recording been going? The recording is 51 minutes long, a bit longer than I had intended, but that is okay. I would say that it probably took me around 30 minutes to do all of this, not counting the time I spent talking to all of you. So, 6 minutes a map, 40,000 gold. You do the math, right? 80,000 gold an hour is not a lot, but it is more than enough to have your King's March farmers farming and then to send out low tier shipments. Now, I did say I was going to go over one last thing before we go, and that is the mercenary. I am currently using Cortez, which is one of the Wither Touch. It is nothing more than for these auras here. This makes the curses stronger, but also simultaneously gives me just a tiny bit of damage. It's not a lot. I already have a lot of sources of percent increased damage. It's whatever. But there's +1 curse, temp chains. I am using a despair aura curse right now. So having a second temp chains that is being applied by the mercenary is just a really nice defensive bonus. Additionally, they have the withering totems, which have really strong withers, combined with the 4 maelstrom golems that we are using. It basically means that any monster that doesn't just outright die to the aura of your Death's Oath is going to die very shortly. And if it is a particularly tanky, higher tier map, things of that nature, there's a very good chance it's going to kill them quicker. Much quicker, in fact. Now, like I said, I am using golems. I am using the stone golem of safeguarding. I only have one active, but you can cut down on the number of chaos golems to increase the number of these. The reason this is important is it causes melee hits that would hit you, which you are running through packs all the time, to instead have 60% of their damage be redirected to this golem. These golems have a significant amount of hit points. Let's see, right here, 7,700 hit points. Their resistances don't really matter too much because usually if it's hitting you and it's melee, it's physical damage. And because of the primordials, these things do have a fair bit of armor. So, as you can see, I have like a 400% effect, or 300% increased effect of its passive right now, giving me 60 instead of only 15. And that is true for all of these. This Chaos Golem here is giving me 17 Chaos Res. Well, no, actually, it's not. I am massively overcapped on Chaos Res because of this Golem and the gear that I have. It is additionally giving me 16% damage over time. Again, times 4, or damage over time multiplier, I should say, times 4. That's a lot of damage. 64% dot multi is no joke, especially when combined with the Chaos dot multi from this. The Flame Golem, AoE, damage, yada yada. And then this little Stone Golem here. This is something that I will probably explain more details in a future video, but this is probably the single most underrated upgrade for the golems. Yes, you still get the flat life regen, which at the moment is giving me what? Where is my life regeneration rate? 580. And if I take the stone golem out, my life regeneration rate dropped to 170. So it was giving me 400 life regeneration. That's a lot. But that's not the big thing. The big thing is it gives 20% increased defenses. Now, as you may have noticed, I do not have any quality on this stone golem. And in fact, I currently only have a 5 link here, and that's why. If this was a 6 link, the stone golem would be in here. I could move these two around, but for right now, it's going to stay as it is. This 20% increased defenses with enhanced support and all that if I had it on it, well, it would be 80% increased. So this armor value that I have, this piddly 2,900 armor, becomes 5,000 armor. Same for evasion. Same for energy shield. I have 500 energy shield. I turn the golem on. I just gained 50% more energy shield. Not increased, more. So in a future video, once this character is complete, I will be making a new one. It will be a ward character. I do believe that with everything set up, you should be able to get north of 150% increased defenses, meaning you can make a ward build go all the way up to 6 or even 7,000 ward without really any shenanigans and very little investment. All you will need is Dialas and Ashes, which Ashes is pretty cheap, and a high level enhance support. Combine them together, and voila. You will have a lot of free ward, along with armor and evasion and or energy shield. Like, this is really good for an ES build, of course. So, yeah, there you go. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. It has been a bit of a longer one, but, you know, first video in almost a year. I will post the results as a continuation of this video when we get back. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you around. Alright, everybody, and we are back. So, we have one last map to run. As you can see, I did gain a level. I've gained a fair bit of gold, too. I did spend about 3,000 of it to hire another mercenary because I wanted a different mercenary for my collection. So a couple things to note. First, we have switched to Bloodline Strand maps. This is because the Strand map is a tier 10 map with 2 watchstones, as you can see here. There we go. This means it's perfect for us. It's not a red tier map. It is yellow. It is pretty easy for most builds. It's the same tier as what I was doing on Mesa, and like Mesa, it's a very linear map. The advantage of Strand, besides being a very linear map and very easy for AoE builds to clear, is the boss of this map drops a card called Icy Brothers, which at time of recording is probably, let's see, Icy Brothers, Divines, yeah, they are 6.5 Divines each. So, they are a rare card, but you run enough of these, you will get them. Now, we will go ahead and run this last map because there is a few things to talk about that I have learned while doing this. And this pertains only to the current league and current market state of the game, so your mileage may vary. So, what did we learn? Well, as always, the Locus of Corruption and the Doriani's Institute are worth the most. That will remain to be for probably quite some time. But there is another setup that you might want, and that is, as mentioned, the life pool one, the thing called the Sanctum of Immortality. The Sanctum of Immortality will have about a 1 in 5 chance of dropping a helmet that turns into the Mask of the Stitch Demon helmet used in Animate Guardians and some other builds as well. Now, the upgrade vial, which you can sometimes get from defeating the boss in a temple, that upgrade vial, you get it from the Apex of Atzwatl, will give you a upgrade and turn it from whatever the normal mask is to the Mask of the Stitch Demon. The vial is worth a fair bit of money if you do get one, and they're like supposedly around a 1 in 50 drop rate. I have not bothered to verify those numbers in long-term trials, but it more or less checks out with my history of doing the Apex. It's not a common drop, but if you're just blitzing with a really fast build, you're going to get quite a few of them. Additionally, worth noting, and this I did not also know, the boss will of course sometimes drop a belt, the String of Servitude belt. This belt is particularly good if you get one of the good rolls. Good rolls for this league and possibly future leagues are the 90% rarity roll. This roll will make it so that everything you do drops more gold. So all these rare monsters that we're taking on will just drop more gold. Now, my build currently does not have any meaningful or targeted rarity increasers. I believe I might have just a tiny bit somewhere in my build by accident. We'll take a look here in a moment. Let's see, Corruption Chamber. Yeah, I have 9% rarity, so basically I don't have any increased rarity in my build. After I clear out these monsters here, are there any? No. There we go. Alright. As previously mentioned in this video, I do not go out of my way to... Oh, I actually didn't want that one. That's okay. I did not go out of my way to kill this Vol Flesh Merchant. However, in these low tier maps, he does not have a lot of life, so I actually don't mind just standing on him until he dies. Does not take very long. See, here he is. He's already at, 3/4 life, and I just stand here and he slowly dies. So there you go, about 10 seconds or whatever, and he just drops dead. Alright, cool. Don't want that. We did screw up here. We connected to the Tempest generator instead of the Locust of Corruption. But I guess that's okay. We needed to connect somewhere. Oh, perfect. We're on the Locust. So, let's find some mobs to kill real quick. Perfect. Now we go find the boss. Here he is. Stand here until this explodes. Perfect. Alright, let's go see what our options are. Restoration pools. Okay. Can I get an explode here? Good. I wanted to kill that rare. More gold. All the gold. Guardhouse. The cellar. Whatever that one is that we're already connected to. Alright, so I think we'll grab the guardhouse. I think that's the one I was just in. And the pools of restoration. Alright. Good. I did connect. Okay. I do love that the unique bosses do tend to try and go towards their minions for some reason, which makes explode chaining onto them very, very easy. Not sure if that's intended AI behavior or just really, really good luck on my part, but it seems to happen like almost every time that if there's a pack nearby, the boss will try to go towards that pack. We don't want this. There it is, Apex. So, as previously mentioned, the Apex has a 1 in 50 chance of dropping a vial to upgrade the mask, and a unknown chance to drop the String of Servitude belt.
Over here, check this out.
Let's see, so this one didn't give us anything good. Unfortunate. And that was also, unfortunately, the last one for this area. Oh, I only killed one of them, it looks like. So, alright, there they are. They're dead. Cool. And now let's go over what we got. Is this worth anything? No. Okay, so I can just go in here with the rest of these. So, I have 147,000 gold. Like I said, I spent about 3,000 gold to buy a mercenary. So over the 20 maps that I ran, I gained 150,000 gold. Now, there's one caveat to this. I lost 2 maps. Well, 1 map and 1 room in 1 map. I had a issue in a map, and it accidentally booted me out. So I lost 1 of the Alva rooms. And then, unfortunately, earlier tonight, there was a downtime for some sort of a patch right after I had opened and went into a map. So I lost an entire map. But since I did open the map and use the scarabs, I am counting it as if I had just simply failed the map. Otherwise, I would have 1 more map, probably have another 5,000, 6,000 gold. That is not going to be the case, but it is what it is. Most likely with this one, if I were to complete it and not have lost what I lost, there's a really good chance that in the next 2 maps that I do, this room will drop from that final boss, that final incursion, as a tier 3. If it doesn't just straight up upgrade to a tier 3 naturally. Now, I do only have 8 more incursions to do. That means I have 8 more attempts to hit this one. A good idea is if you see the Nexus that upgrades a room, and it is near one of these, to try and grab it. I would even go so far as to say if you have a Catalyst of Corruption and a one-off that could become the upgrade room, like has the option to, even if it's already something like Doriani's, just get it. Take it on the chance that this will become a Catalyst of Corruption, because at the end of the 4 incursions, this room will be randomly upgraded, this room will be randomly upgraded or downgraded, and then if this does upgrade to the tier 1, 2, or the tier 2 or 3 version where we'll upgrade the adjacent rooms, then that is applied. So if this is a tier 2 and this is a tier 1 upgrade room, and the RNG turns it into a tier 3, this will then get an automatic +1, as will all these rooms. Pretty handy little trick to make sure you don't waste any. Now, as I mentioned before, I don't have very many of them. I only have 1 Sanctum of Immortality. Now, I was listing these at 25 chaos each. I usually will get the Apex alongside it, just RNG. I do not go out of my way to try and get the Apex of Atsuatl unless there is a full connection already to the front. Like if I have a straight path, I will grab it. Once again, for the 1 in 50 for the upgrade vials. So you can sell these for about 25C. Personal opinion, you are better off running it. If you have a build that can do it, and you're doing it in these low-level maps, you're better off running the Sanctum of Immortality. If you get a map or a mask, great. Go buy an upgrade vial, or if you get lucky and get one, use the upgrade vial, and turn that 2, 3, 4 div, whatever it is, mask into a 15 to 20 div upgraded mask. It will net you a 3 to 5 div profit at current market values. Something that was also recommended to me is to make sure to do this at a specific time of day. If you are in the Korean time zone, that tends to be the best time to sell upgrade vials and Mask of the Stitch Demon. Low supply, high demand. So, let's go ahead and talk about profit. Now, as I had mentioned earlier in the video, I did not put all the random droppings, the bubblegum currency, garbage basically. Didn't put it in here. Didn't care. The only thing that made it in here were Exalted Orbs, which I got 3 of. Divine Orbs, which I got 0, of course. Chaos Orbs, which I did get probably around 20 Chaos as raw drops. And then the proceeds from selling these maps. I do still have 1 Doriani's here, but as I was doing this, I am in D&D mode, so no one could get it. So I have taken myself off of D&D mode, so this now can be sold for 100 chaos. As you can see here, I have 954 chaos currently, plus this, so really I have 1054 chaos, 4 divines, and 3 exalted orbs, which I believe at current are going for about 25C. So we'll just go ahead and check here. Yeah, about 24C each. Divine orbs are going for 200 and something. So that means that in the 20 maps that I ran, or really if you want to be technical, the 19 maps that I ran, I made roughly 9 divines in those 20 maps. Now, I was doing them at a rate of around 6 minutes per map because I am very slow. So if you can do it much faster, that is really good profit. So it took me roughly 2 hours to do that. So that's about 75,000 gold per hour. It's not great, but it's still enough to let your Keen's March go. And it was like 4.5 divines per hour going off of the prices of what I have. Again, your mileage may vary. You may get luckier than me. You may get unlucky. Who knows? But that is about all I have for you guys today. If you found this information useful, please leave comments down below. If you have your own tips and tricks on how to improve this, again, feel free to let me know. Otherwise, as mentioned, strand maps, good maps to run this on, a good AoE clear build, and I hope you guys make a bunch of profit.